Hey, and welcome aboard the Starlight Car, Gamesline podcast. I'm Maverick, and I'll be your host. Tonight, you'll get to hear a conversation I was able to have with HOLOSTARS Guild TEMPUS member, Josuiji Shinri. This was a pretty wild opportunity we had available, and I'm really proud of how this turned out. Shinri is someone who I can tell thinks about his role as a streamer and the way that the modern day access to audiences can really lead to some positive impacts. Have a listen. Thank you so much. Shinri, it's a great pleasure to be here in the space with you. How are you doing?
Oh, hello. Fantastic. Thank you for having me. Doing pretty well. Doing pretty well.
So, as of now, you've been 2 years into your career as a VTuber over in HOLOSTARS. How has your approach to the medium developed since you started?
I think one of the big things for me was trying to find out exactly what kind of a streamer I was. Going into it, I kind of had an idea of like generally my brand is just horror games. So I kind of knew like, oh, I want to do horror games. But at the same time, I didn't want to end up just doing the same kind of loud, screamy kind of, oh, look, there's a jump scare, wow, chat, I'm so scared kind of the type that you see a lot so often. So I was looking for just kind of what would make my stream and my kind of content from that, even though we're basing off the same gameplay of horror games, unique and different. And I think over the past 2 years, playing around games with my community and seeing their reactions, their responses, and the kind of feedback that I get from them, I've really nailed down and focused on this, well, some would say a little bit of a cursed, cozy horror vibe, where even though we're playing a horror game, everything's still pretty chill and comfortable. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's like a really big aspect that you lead with, where, seeing some of the other members of Guild Tempus, there's a lot of energy. And I think like the defining feature for your streams is that comfiness that you describe. How have you noticed the focus of Cozy develop as you've also become closer with your guild members?
I think the best way to look at that is in a way of a contrast. So here at HOLOSTARS, we all kind of have our own different unique talents and strengths. And I think some of my content really shines best when it's looked in contrast with the high energy and the excitableness of the rest of the boys. Especially when we do our collabs, there are times when we'll have this, you know how in like comedy routines you've got like the slapstick humor guy and then like the straight man who kind of like bounces, they bounce off each other in that way to have that little dichotomy between the two. So I try to kind of play it into a bit more of that. So I know my guildmates are a lot more excitable. They have a lot more energy and they're really great to get, just really hyped about everything. And then I'll be there to just kind of like calm them down and sometimes even go as far as to act as a potential avenue for viewers who are a little bit more on the lower energy side to kind of self-insert, be like, all right, like, hey, let's calm down a little bit to have someone to like relate to in those situations, no matter how crazy the craziness gets to.
Right. And especially on top of that, not only do you have your members in Tempest, but you've also recently had the individuals from Armis. And how has that been to not only debut yourself in the last 2 years, but then have this additional cast of folks to draw from?
I think the only thing, it's really just kind of opened up the number of interactions and collaborations that we have. For example, among all of Armis, you have Gerard, who's like really high energy, screaming constantly, very loud, has a lot of just the showmanship. And then you got Octavia, who's really, great with his voice, puts in a lot of effort into his singing, and then Gibby, who also puts in a whole bunch of high production value, like his karaoke recently. And then there's also Ruse, who kind of shares my a little bit down to earth energy, although he does have like a little bit of gremlin to it. So it just really opens up more partners to collab with, more people to bounce ideas off of. We talk a lot off stream, back in our little Discord, just kind of sharing ideas back and forth. And it's really nice to get a wider selection of just feedback and perspectives from each of the members and their different strengths.
Right. No, that's awesome. And I can definitely notice from the amount of like collaborations that really comes into focus as well.
Hmm. Well, to be fair, I don't really collab as often as I would like. A lot of my content is really geared to being solo, but I do stop in every now and then to the boy streams. I will lurk in. We'll talk about stuff behind the scenes. Most recently, I think the most consistent collabs that I've been doing is with Ruse playing some Grounded. It's a little game where you're tiny little shrunken kids playing in the backyard and just kind of vibing that way. Sometimes it'll just be little quick, easy pickup games where we're not really trying to accomplish any task, but just hanging out and just having a good time, just vibing with some friends.
Yeah, and like that vibe really seems like something that like not only have I noticed in the streams that I've been able to jump into, but also, your fan base, the Koipanions have really been eager to see not just those collaborations, but your work in general. How do you feel your relationship with them has grown since you started?
Um, my relationship with my fans, I would say that it's been, I'm not sure how to find the right words for this. Um, it mostly it's kind of like a fostering a example, I guess. Um, to be quite honest, I actually don't interact with my fans directly. We're not allowed to like hop into their discords and like hang out with them directly. So a lot of the communication I see from the fans just comes from what they tell me throughout the chat, throughout the streams, and a lot of it is just kind of acting as an example, like an idol that they would want to represent, that want to support, and like the ideals and the values that I have. And then they take that and carry it on to their community and how they interact with the other fans or how they interact with each other and other people in their lives. Um, Directly, I don't have much influence. And I kind of want to stay, let the Kois do their own thing. So a lot of it has just been kind of doing things and trying to set an example just as the idol that they watch on stream.
Yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. And folks are very, I'll say it, like folks are very lucky to have you as that sort of idol. What motivates you? Yeah, like what motivates you to be that kind of individual?
Well, this one kind of draws a little bit from my first year debuting. I debuted as one of the older members of Tempus, and I think just from my past history, I do have a lot more time compared to the rest of my guildmates. Though I wanted to show that it wasn't too late to chase your dreams. It wasn't too late to go out there and try something risky, try something scary, but that makes you happy. That gives you a little bit of inspiration, something that gives you that little feeling when you wake up, you're like, oh, I can't wait to do this kind of stuff. Or like, oh, like, I want to see myself making progress on this kind of thing. Because I find that it's very easy for people to fall into the mindset of, like, oh, it's too late for me. Like I had my shot, 10 years ago or 5 years ago. And now I gotta, hunker down and just focus on doing this one thing, like to use a millennial term, like, oh, we gotta start adulting properly and all that kind of stuff, So I just wanted to show that it's not too late, that there's always ways to start, there's always time to start, and there will be time, but you kind of do have to start. And that's kind of what's inspired me, and hopefully the stuff that I've done is also helping inspire some of the fans who watch me. I've heard a lot of them talking about how they started picking up art again, or they're seeking their graduate degrees, and my streams just tuning in helped them get a little bit of motivation to focus and study hard through midterms and final seasons. And I think one companion even mentioned that they had finished their master's thesis defense while studying to my stream. So I love hearing that kind of stuff, and that's the kind of stuff that inspired me. So I'm glad to hear that it's inspiring the Kois as well.
That's incredible. And yeah, I think like that focus of being someone who might be older than their contemporaries, but still choosing to do that, whatever it is that you're choosing to do, to say, it doesn't matter how old I am, I want to go and do it. that's very just that's awesome for a lack of a better word.
Yeah, I hope well, I know that like my particular brand of content isn't, it doesn't apply to everyone. Not everyone's gonna be watching me, but at least for those who do follow along and watch my content, I hope I can act as some kind of a little bit of inspiration there, a little bit of hope.
Yeah, and I know that you had talked about this in prior opportunities, but just this focus as well on being able to be in tune with your emotions. How have you seen that relationship to your own vulnerability develop in this time as well?
Um, oh gosh, that one, that's definitely a personal journey for myself. Just speaking as someone from my own background, I grew up as like the eldest son in my family, and there was a lot of situations where emotions were kind of not particularly encouraged. It was frowned upon to express emotions, and then you weren't really allowed to like feel the emotions. If you had that emotion, if you had the feeling, the energy that comes up, you had to bottle it up and just put it away, tuck it aside, and then just grit your teeth and get the job done for now, and then never talk about it ever again. Um, that has led to a lot of stress, a lot of stress in my past, and streaming has provided me an opportunity to really experience a lot of those emotions and kind of re-dive back into those and let myself feel those feelings. It's also really fantastic to have so many supportive fans who encourage that kind of exploration, emotional exploration for myself. This is kind of partly why I really gravitate towards horror games in general, because the stories that they tell, the exploration of the human psyche, just some traumatic loss, because not all horror games are about horror. Sometimes they're just like a representation, like a monster might not be a monster, but they might be the player character's manifestation of some guilt or trauma that happened in the past that's causing them this torment. But these kinds of stories allow me to, playing through them allows me to experience those emotions and ask myself, like, oh, if I were in this situation, like, would I be comfortable enough to let myself feel these? And the companions being, as supportive as they are, really gave me the safe space in my streams to kind of let those emotions out. So you will see me crying on stream. You'll see me getting frustrated on stream, and just really giving myself the chance to feel those.
Yeah, and frankly, it is awesome that you allow yourself the space to do that. It's something that I think more people, the openness to show that emotion and to show yourself in whatever capacity, like, hey, this is affecting me and I got to cry about it or I got to be really excited about it. That streaming allows you to show that off. That's incredible as well. What's been a game recently that you felt like has allowed for that sort of back and forth between you and the fans to really like develop?
Oh gosh. I wouldn't say this is too particularly recent. It happened last year, but it's a game that's kind of stuck with me for a long time. The game is called A Space for the Unbound, and it follows the story of, well, I don't know how much I can say without spoiling
Yeah,
it.
I know of the game, but I will
Yes.
ask to keep it broad, if only because I do want to enjoy it as well.
Oh, yes. Well, I won't, without saying too much, it was an incredible emotional story. And a lot of my fans are actually from Indonesia, where the game takes place. So, they had a lot of fun times just teaching me about the types of food, the names of the street food, the animals there. And I think the biggest thing was like so much of the game was based around kind of like there are like mystical supernatural elements to it, but a lot of it was kind of like, oh, like this is just the daily life of a high school student in Indonesia. So it was a lot of those like, oh, like I went through that, and like chat would be like, oh, I did that, or like I drank those things with my friends, during the hot summer days, the little sodas and the little bags and everything. And having that kind of connection between the fans and having them express to me just how much it meant, and how having this game that they could directly relate to through their own experiences really helped me feel more connection to those characters in the story. And without spoiling, when the moment hit, it was like, oh wow, like I can understand why this moment here hits so well, of how it kind of drove home a point that becomes really personal with a lot of the viewers. So um I still think about that game every now and then. And I would say that's probably one of the biggest ones that kind of stuck with me and my fans together.
Yeah, again, like I need to just as soon as I can get into it. Our one of our other contributors for the site, Franny, has played it, and they have also just glowing words to say about it.
Oh, fantastic. I hope
Yeah.
it sounds like they enjoyed it too. Yeah.
On that subject, actually, recognizing that you do have an international fan base, how has that adapted in terms of your own just relationship and thinking about what you put out for your audience?
I think the big thing there is just kind of a little bit of like a forcing myself to become self-aware of really the platform that I have. You know, the things that I say aren't just going to be heard by people from one country. You know, there's going to be people internationally who listen to it, who hear it, who have their own, emotional connections, feelings towards the things that I do, the content that I make, from Japanese viewers who maybe watch my streams because I speak English, clearly they're like, all right, I'm gonna use Shinri stream to like study English, and then all the Indonesian fans who've been like teaching me so much about their culture through, the folklore, the scary like ghosts and supernatural things and all the food. And it's just, it kind of hit me a little bit, a good amount into the first year that like, wow, the audience here isn't just from America. There's like viewers from all over the place. And it's wonderful seeing so many of them, international friends or international viewers becoming friends with each other, commenting on social media and like sharing art, sharing their passions. And I guess just a little bit of pressure, just a little bit of pressure, knowing that, so many people from so many places will be able to see the things that I say. So it's gotten to the point where I just kind of have to remind myself not to take this platform that I have for granted, and that my actions do and they will resonate with a lot more people than I think. So the things that I just say, it might just be, from my point of view, just talking into a microphone, but there will be so many different perspectives who will hear it and interpret what I say in all their different ways.
Right. I think it's a very responsible way that you approach that then. And especially recognizing that spread, to hear that you do think about that. And even if it might be some extra pressure, it does sound like it sounds like it pushes you towards a direction that allows you to still focus on that level of freedom that you gain from streaming, but also keeping yourself in balance.
Definitely, definitely. I know of situations where a talent will like offhandedly refer like mention some kind of their favorite soap brand, and then suddenly there'll be a whole bunch of fans talking about like, oh, I want to go find that kind of soap because I want to know what my the soap that my Oshi uses, or like what they smell like, or maybe their shampoo, or maybe it could be a snack, like, oh, I recently had this snack from this store, and then people will go out of their way to try to find it so they can have that sense of feeling and connection. So even comments that I know for us may seem offhanded or just kind of like throwaway comments that we'll just kind of toss out there, those can and will resonate with a lot of fans. And it will connect a lot of fans in ways that we can't anticipate, which is why I think it's so important for us to just at least be aware that the things that we do and say, and even just, an idle casual tweet that we might put out, not really thinking too much about it, might be received by a fan like, oh, like that's my Oshi saying that, and it might have a lot more meaning than what we put into just sending out that tweet out with.
Has there been an interaction or a tweet that on your end was like, yeah, I'm just putting this out, and you were surprised that it did have such like a resonance with folks?
Uh, this one's a little cursed. This one's a little cursed. During the recent Halloween stream, I was talking as a joke. I was mentioning are you familiar with the creepypasta of Eyeless Jack? Um,
Eyeless Jack. I don't know if I know that one in particular. I
well,
Yeah,
Oh, sorry.
please enlighten me.
It's just your usual run-of-the-mill creepypasta. There's a really freaky entity out there, a killer who has no pair of eyes, and when you're sleeping, you open your eyes and you look up, and you just see pitch darkness. But it's darkness because you are staring into the empty eye sockets of Eyeless Jack, who is hovering over you while you sleep. So as a joke, I made a comment about what it would feel like to press your eyeball against that eye socket and just kind of like take a closer look and see what's going on there. And then that little moment, got clipped out of context, got spread around. It's like, oh, Shinri's like a freak, and he had just all this like eyeball eye socket thing going on. And now that's kind of what I know, not what I'm known for. So when one of the talents who, because all the boys are really busy, we're not able to keep up with everything that we, all of us say. They'll mention, like comment like, oh, they'll be like, hey, Shinri, what's this thing about eyeballs? Like, do you want to explain that to us? Because they'll make the fans will make these memes and they'll share it, and then they'll go to one of the boys' streams and they'll be like, like, hey, Ruse, have you heard about Shinri's eyeball thing? And then it'll become a whole thing within the community. And that'll be just something that, we toss out, when we're on as a streamer, our streamer brain kicks in and we just kind of say things. But like sometimes a random comment that we say will just kind of catch fire and ignite throughout the fan base.
Right. No, definitely. Luckily, in this case, you will not just be known as the eyeball guy, so no worries there.
Hopefully, thank you.
Well, we'll see.
Oh no!
The metrics, the clipping, it's such an important aspect of this. No. So I did just want to highlight that recently, earlier in the year, that you had put together a tournament within HOLOSTARS for Balatro. What sparked the inception there?
Oh, it was just a fun little small tournament with the boys. Balatro had kind of taken off, and everyone was playing it. All the streamers were streaming it, and the companions were all like, "Hey, Shinri, when are you going to play Balatro?" So I tried it out. I had a blast with the tutorial, the introduction part, and something about it just clicked, and I really wanted to see, because how the roguelike elements, everyone kind of has their own playstyle, and as the runs go further, their each unique individual playstyles shine a bit more and more. So I wanted to see, like if we all had to pick one game mode and just kind of run through, how would we all differ? And that's kind of what really took it off for me, because I had a lot of fun with the game, and I saw the other boys were having a lot of fun with the game. I know Axel particularly loves talking about gambling a whole bunch, and he loved poker. So I was like, all right, let's do it, So I hit up the boys in Discord, said, hey, can we do this small little tournament? I also wanted it to be as low pressure as possible, so we weren't trying to schedule things with 10 boys and all of our schedules all over the place. So you have a month, play it on your own time, but the only requirement is that you must stream it. You must see it so that everyone can see your run. No cheating, no flubbing. You have to reveal all of your hands out publicly. So give the fans a little bit of content there. They can see all of us running, like, oh, how did Haka do and how did Flayon do and all that. So yeah, that was our that was the idea that I had in my mind, and it was fun. I learned a lot from that, and hope to do some more fun little mini tournaments like that with the boys in the future.
Yeah, I was also going to say, mentioning both the busyness of everyone on HOLOSTARS and this sort of being not even just like a way to collaborate without needing to be on stream at the same time. Has this, or how else do you envision this sort of opportunity coming forward in like other potential collaborations?
I'm gonna be honest, I haven't really put too much thought to that one at the moment. Well, I know that there is some. It's I wouldn't say it's an expectation, but there is a lot of how what would it be? Like the conventional way of doing a collab is seen as, oh, we're live together at the same time. We're both, streaming at the same time. And we're there, like we're bantering in live time, right? I think one of the big things that I've learned is you can apply this kind of asynchronous collabing where everyone's kind of doing the same thing, same subject matter, but they don't have to be live at the same time. They don't have to be playing together in the same room in order for it to work. I'm still looking into different ideas and different things that we could do. It doesn't necessarily have to be a game. It could be something else, but hopefully in the future we'll have some more of these fun asynchronous tournaments where we're all competing against one another, we're all like collabing with each other, but without the pressure of everyone needing to clear a certain schedule, especially for some of the boys who may live in different time zones, and our evenings are their early mornings or vice versa, and it's a little crazy that way.
It's very funny that you mentioning that like want for something that is asynchronous to accommodate for everything. It does feel very kindred with how we at Gamesline operate. Similar way of just multiple different time zones, people having to juggle work with other responsibilities and still putting the time in to be like, hey, we want to do this, we want to focus on this, and how can we show up as best we can? And so hearing you describe that, it was just like, oh wow, good to know that there's something else that experiences those pains and also those joys as well.
Yeah. Even if it's like, the whole team, you might be working on it. There might be times when you like never actually cross paths, but like the work that you do still comes together in the final product at the end of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Those are all my questions. Again, thank you for taking the time to sit with me. It's been a pleasure. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me here. This is one of my first interviews, like live interviews like this, so a little nerve-wracking, a little bit scared.
Likewise.
But no, thank you for the questions and thank you for the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
Of course, thank you as well. And just like that, we've arrived at the station. Thank you again to Cover and Shinri for being open to this opportunity. Again, it was such a blast. If you'd like to experience more of that cozy horror vibe, you can find Shinri on YouTube and Twitter at Josuiji Shinri. I'm not typically on socials these days, but you could find me over at Just Maverick on Blue Sky. To find more of us, that's right over at Gamesline.net. Patreon is patreon.com/Gamesline. $3 for all of our content a week early, like Unlimited Railworks, our anime podcast. We just covered Samurai Flamenco, which was such a fun time. Twitch is Gamesline TV. At the time of me recording this section, we just introduced 4 new members to the Gamesline crew, and they are going to be recording live on the newest episode of the Gamesline podcast. If you want to talk shop and hang with us, you can also join our Discord at thegamezone.zone. The theme for Starlight Car is a super chill remix of Aquamarine by Magic Circuit, which is available off their self-titled album, Magic Circuit, over on Bandcamp. Keep an eye out. They'll be doing some new stuff pretty soon. Thanks, and we'll see you soon.